Today is day 13 of our 30-day challenge, May 13th, 2026. And today we're going to talk about belief. Today is about belief. And yesterday there was a response in one of the group chats that said belief and faith requires you to stand on it or sit on it, something to that effect. And it really it made me think about the connection between the word that we see as belief in the Bible, the Hebrew word, and how we interpret it. Because that Hebrew word is closer to the word that we see. It really means to lean on or to rely on or to put confidence in. Or another one is to be supported by. So that word, the word is actually batak in Hebrew, and that doesn't matter what the word is, but what the word means. Because when we look at English words, they're simplified. When we say something like I trust, or I have faith, or I believe, it's very easy to intellectualize it. But when we look at the deeper meaning, because that's the beauty of other languages, and Hebrew is one of them, they add more depth to the actual word. And that word, faith and trust, it's to feel secure or to rely on something with confidence. And the imagery that you can think about is the sense of sitting down. I'm sitting down right now, and I didn't think twice about putting all my weight on this chair. I felt secure. I knew that the chair could support my weight. Now, the only time that I would feel insecure is either if I'm overweight or if the chair wasn't built for me. And so real trust is not saying I believe God exists, like I believe the chair exists. The real trust is I put my full weight on it. And so for us, what does real trust look like? What does real belief look like? Because when we start to understand that this trust and belief is based on what we do, it changes faith from an agreement to a dependence. And this is why a lot of the spiritual teachings that you might hear about, they differentiate between believing about God or believing in God and trusting in God. Because believing in God is in your head. You can say it. But trusting in God, that changes your behavior. When you really put your weight and everything on God, you can say things like, I trust God with my finances. I trust God with my kids. I trust God with my business. And every decision is driven by something else, trust, versus the intellectual that says, yeah, I believe in God, but your decisions are driven by fear and scarcity thinking. So if you don't move, if you don't take risks, if you don't build, if you don't speak out, create, act, then what is your weight really resting on? It's resting on comfort. And we look at an example of when Peter walked on water. The issue was where Peter placed his weight spiritually and psychologically. The moment that fear became more real than trust, he sank. And I think the deeper truth here is whatever you truly put your weight on becomes your God. If your weight is on your bank account, oh, I'm trusting in this bank account, or I'm trusting in this person, this bank to give me this loan. If that becomes your source, you're putting your weight on it. That's your God. And we all do this with little things. We put our weight on our relationships, on our status, on control. And when we put our weight on God, there's something magical that happens. And that's part of why yesterday's message of remembering matters so much. Because sometimes we forget, why are we doing this? Why am I going to this job? Why am I going to this business? And we drift towards safety, and not knowing that, just like Peter, when Peter had to go towards safety, those moments, that's what builds us. When fear grows, we instinctively shift our weight back to old systems, old habits, old identities, old coping mechanisms, and old fears. And so today, it's, what am I resting my weight on? That's what we're really going to focus on. And someone asked me this morning, do I believe that my thoughts become things? And I told them, no, I don't believe that. I know that thoughts become things, and not every thought becomes things. I think it depends on the direction, the frequency, the intensity of the thought. But belief is not what you say. It's, what does your life show? All you got to do is look at somebody's life and you can tell what they believe, not what they say. Because you can believe, and I hear this a lot, that I'm a child of God, but I see all these children of God living defeated, fearful, inconsistent, undisciplined, and powerless lives. Do you really believe that you're a child of God and allow things to overcome you? Allow addiction to hold you hostage? Allow money to be your master? Do you really believe that? Do you really believe that there's a heaven or there's a hell for people who sin, and yet you still engage in sinful activity? Do you really believe that God has your image, his image or her image, and that you were made in God's image, and that you have authority backed by heaven, and that you are assigned a purpose and entrusted with dominion? Do you really believe that? And does your life reflect that? Does how you move, does how you show up? And all you have to do is ask people that are close to you. And I'm not talking about perfection, okay? This is about alignment. Alignment. We keep talking about that. Not arrogance, but authority. When you have authority, when you're confident, there's a difference. And it's not necessarily pride, but it's taking pride in the responsibility that God has given you. So the problem is not always whether we believe in God, but sometimes the problem is that we don't understand what that belief means, that we don't understand what that belief requires from us. Because if I truly believe that I'm the child of God, how can you live like God abandoned you? If I truly believe that God gave me dominion, how can you act powerless? If I truly believe that God has given me gifts, the gift of prayer, the gift of encouragement, the gift of playing sports, the gift of sewing, the gift of baking, the gift of nurturing, if I truly believe that God gave me those gifts, how can I keep burying them? Why can't I share them with the world? Why wouldn't I share them with the world if God empowered me to deliver these gifts for other children of God to enjoy? And if you believe that God called you for a purpose, a specific purpose, then why are you waiting for somebody else to open up the door, to validate? Take the first step. God will always meet you at that next step. You keep taking that step. And if I truly believe that God was my source, not my income, not my job, not my business, not the bank account, not my spouse, if I truly believe that God was my source, why would I worship money? And we do worship money. We do worship fear. We do worship approval, comfort, convenience. Because your life is going to reveal what you believe in. It's always going to prove it. Your habits, your excuses, your discipline, what you spend your money on, how you spend your money. If you had the opportunity to buy a high quality food and you bought the low quality, that reveals what you believe. Your relationships, who are you hanging around? Your standards. Are you waking up early, going to bed late? Are you waking up late, going to bed early? All those things reveal what you believe. And who are you obeying? If you're still negotiating with God on obedience, what do you truly believe? And so today, I'm not asking you guys to think about your belief system in a way that is unnatural. But what is your belief system? Because if the old belief system is still there dominating your life, then the new opportunity is going to still produce the old result. So it's not about what you say you believe. I don't care about that. What we care about is, what does your life show? What is your fruit? Examine the fruit. What does your life prove that I believe? Do I believe that I'm chosen, or do I live like I'm forgotten? Do I believe that God has equipped me, or do I keep acting like God is going to get to me one day? I got to keep asking for permission. And do I believe that my thoughts do become things? Or do I just keep thinking casually? Do I keep saying and using my words carelessly? Your words create direction. Your words create power. Your words have power. Are you speaking life or death over your future, over your family? What do you believe? Do I believe that I'm becoming the person I declared on day one? Do I believe I'm getting a step closer to that person every day? Because again, it's not going to be when things are easy, okay? Your belief is going to show up when fear shows up, when it's at the gas station, when it's time to buy the ticket, when that feeling is gone, when nobody's clapping for you, when you're in the dark. That's when your belief is proven. And when that old identity starts to talk to you, hey, this is too much for us. That's when what you believe is proven. So ultimately, your belief is going to be proven when obedience has a price that's too big for you to pay, or it looks like it's too big for you to pay. Let's think about it, right? When obedience is too costly, that's when what you believe is going to come into play. You believe that you do the right thing no matter what, and somebody comes to you with some stolen goods and says, hey, here, all you got to do is sell them. Are you going to be obedient then? So let's look at the foundation of our belief system, not our dreams, not our goals, not money or relationships, but the belief. Because what you're living, your house, your family, your cars, all that stuff is not random. That's the fruit of what you actually thought was true and what you believed in. So what is belief producing in my current life? And what belief must I accept today as truth to become who God called me to be?